Hey guys, Heidi here from PROTRADERSNETWORK.com, and today we're going to take a look at the topic support and resistance. So, does support and resistance hold all the time? So that's the question that we're going to answer today. And does support and resistance get stronger or weaker the more times it is tested? Alright, so we have here Cloudflare. Basically, it's a stock that's actually traded on the US stock market and on the 4-hour time frame. So you can see that let me just draw the support and resistance levels on Cloudflare before we actually talk about how many times it has been tested and where it lead to after that. So as you can see guys, that we had a resistance level at 87.62, and there is a false break here, and where price actually fell back lower, retest the lows again. So three times we had the lows being tested, the support level, and after which we saw that this resistance levels is retested again before it broke out over here. So you can see that at this point we have 3 support levels and 3 resistance levels, basically 4 actually. So this is another resistance point here, but of course we saw that it broke out above it. So you can see that as more times the support resistance get tested, the higher chance it is for actually that particular level to break out, especially if you see that the price is actually moving to the upside and then it moves sideways. Basically we are trying to wait for the resistance levels to actually be broken to the upside, right? So there is higher tendency, number one, if let's say we are from an uptrend and then we go into a sideways pattern, usually there is higher chance if the top resistance level is being tested more times, and it will get weaker basically, and that's when you want to actually take a look at getting into the trade around these levels here once it has actually broken the resistance level. So let's look at another chart. Here we have the pound yen on the 4-hour time frame, and as you can see guys, price have actually been moving in a sideways pattern as well. Alright, so you can see that sometimes we do see that a resistance level may have been broken to the upside, but it doesn't take too long before it actually goes back in again. I would like to iterate here that once a resistance level is broken, it might become a support level. Okay, at this point here, basically we saw that price actually crashed through below, but it did went back up again to respect this support level. But then once more times it has been once this level is tested more times, you see that it gets weaker and price then goes down and retest it again, and then it becomes resistant again. So sometimes guys, you must actually be dynamic about be flexible, I guess, about the dynamic nature of support and resistance, right? So on this lower time frame, you can see that support levels are at these points that I have actually marked here, and the resistance levels is at these points here. And you can see that sometimes the price does not even need to actually go to the former lows, right? So we have lows here on the left side, and then after that we have lows now at these points, 2 points here, and here we have in fact a higher low. So we might see actually price actually moving up higher to retest this resistance level again. So you can see that price basically, if it actually goes back into this particular zone, we can say that this whole area here is actually a false break, and it might take longer than a couple of, not just within a day, it can be going beyond a couple of days, and before it actually drops back into this channel again. So you got to be careful on that. Sometimes a breakout is not necessarily a true breakout, it is basically a false one. Alright, so moving on to the next chart. Alright, so here you can see guys, this is the oil chart basically back in 2021 March, right? So this is on the 4-hour time frame. You can see that at this point here we have let me just draw the support and resistance points. Okay, so here we can see that the support is at around the $57 level and resistance at around the 66.48 level, right? So there is a false break at this point, after which price actually fell back lower, retested it again, and fell back lower to retest the support zones. Alright, so you can see that if a particular point is retested a couple of times, that you know that what I've just said earlier, it could actually weaken the resistance and actually lead price to break out and move up to the upside. But another thing that I would like to point out, one important tip, is that when price is actually testing resistance and then it actually rolls over, but it does not actually roll over to the last lows, right, lower the lows that it had actually formed in previous sessions, it means that the bulls are getting stronger. So you have a higher low here and a higher low here, which means to say we have higher swing lows, and which also means that there could be a potential for uptrend to actually continue, right? So previously oil was in an uptrend before it actually rolls over, retrace, and then retest these highs again. But you can see as it actually goes into like kind of like one step higher in terms of forming the next support, it shows that the bulls are ready to actually take the price up further, right? And as you can see, this particular support resistance line here has been tested about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before it actually break up to the upside. So the more times it gets tested, basically resistance and support level, those levels will become weaker. And especially number 2, the point is that if we have higher swing lows, then basically that adds to the argument that and the strength for the bulls to actually push to the upside. Okay, let's look at the last chart that we have, which is Ethereum. This is the current chart of Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame. And again, guys, take a look at the support and resistance levels and how actually we have the support and the support levels actually slowly going up higher, right? So here you can see that the lows are at the 2900 level, and then it is basically not going back to that level. You see, once it actually goes up, it goes down, it doesn't go back to these levels of around 29. That means it wants to form a higher swing low, and it has basically succeeded to a certain extent, but it's much more apparent in these swing lows that has formed in more recent sessions, right? So you can see that as it actually starts a new support at this level around 3145, and we saw that basically resistance levels has been tested a couple of times here, right? So we can actually plot these 2 points here as a resistance as well. So you can say that it's not just one single point, but it's a zone, right, guys? It's actually a zone. So this particular level at 3322 to 3359, basically this whole zone here, okay, basically is a resistance zone. And at this point we can see that price have actually broken to the upside. So this zone has been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before it gets weaker, and eventually we see a breakout which push price towards the 3470 level. And right now Ethereum is at around the 3809 level, which is and it's still going up, right? So just to basically reiterate, if we have a trend which is to the upside, and then we have a sideways trend, we want to see that basically the support levels holding up. But if we see a higher support level being formed, okay, a new zone basically at around these areas, then basically price is ready to actually break out, and we might see a real breakout which goes through the resistance at this point here on Ethereum, right? So guys, I guess I can just I would like to conclude basically this video, right? The question is, does support and resistance hold all the time? Of course, the answer is no. Sometimes the support and resistance levels and zones can be broken. Secondly, does support and resistance get stronger or weaker the more times it gets tested? Basically, the answer is it gets weaker, right? And in conclusion, guys, basically one way to actually trade support and resistance, right, and to know whether there's a high chance of it breaking, is that we want to see a new support zone being created in comparison to previous support zones. That is if it's going to the upside. So if it's going to the upside, on the flip side, we might want to see basically a lower resistance zone being formed, and then before the true breakout happens, right? So I hope you have actually benefited from this video, and hope to see you in our next video. And thank you so much for actually tuning in to ProTraders Network. And if you like our videos, give it a like and subscribe to our channel, so you won't miss any of our videos in the near future. So thank you very much for actually being with us. RD signing out.